This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good night, Caroline Wood. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful night?
I'm good. It's actually morning here in Australia and it's a beautiful day.
What part of Australia are you in right now?
Just outside of Canberra, the capital.
All right. And which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this specific time in history?
It would be my ability to interpret and simplify numbers.
Ooh, tell me more, please.
So I'm really good at interpreting numbers and making them much more simple for people. I think a lot of people are frightened of numbers. So I think that's my skill. And because of that, I've set up a small business to help others get comfy with their numbers. And through that small business, I met someone who had done one of your conversations a few years ago.
Who was that?
Tracy Minatolo.
Ooh, I remember that name. It took me a while to be able to pronounce that name when I first spoke with her. Yes, I remember that like it was yesterday. Minatolo. And she's like, oh, yeah, it took me a while, but I got it. Well, that's amazing. I do appreciate her and I appreciate you connecting on behalf of her recommendation. That's great. So you're an accountant. Is it like a superpower where the numbers are before you and all of a sudden you start to see it and then boom, you see the story? Is it like that?
Yeah, I think so. I really love seeing the patterns that numbers make and what they then lead and what stories they tell you from that and how they can help you look at what's working in your business and what's not and better understand who you're working with.
How long have you been doing this for?
Over 20 years.
Wow. Have you ever gotten any awards or like achievements or just honors for what you've been doing?
No, I don't think accountants don't generally get recognised for what they do.
Yeah, you're definitely in the background most of the times, right? Yeah. The superhero. It's like the maid of honor, yeah? You have to, yeah. Well, that's great. So where's the best place for someone that's listening that is having challenges with their numbers? Where can they connect with you?
Through my website. It's Caroline, just my name is carolinemwood.com. So very simple.
Wonderful. Well, tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years, Caroline.
I was thinking about this the other day, and for me, I think it's saying no to things. So a few years ago, I read Susan Cain's book, Quiet Power, or Quiet the Power of Introverts, I think it is. And since then, I've really tried to honour my introversion more and not feel like I have to say yes to every single social event or party that people invite me to. And I think so I've been consistently saying no and really respecting the fact that I'm an introvert.
So being an introvert, what was the experience like saying yes to jump on and have a conversation on the podcast?
It's good. I'm fine with one-on-one conversations and I really enjoy them, connecting with people one-on-one. I just find parties and big social events where there's so much going on really draining and probably overstimulating.
That's great. I love that you've understood who you are and you're working your life accordingly. That's so important, I believe.
Yeah, I think it is too. I think it's hard to do there's a lot of society pressures on you to be what society expects you to be.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, but you get to be you, and that's your right. I love it.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So, do tell us, do you work, do you need to be there, or do you work virtually with individuals as well?
I mainly work virtually. I have a couple of clients who are organisations and I go in to their offices, but I much prefer working at home and just having my dogs for company rather than all the office politics.
Can I test you?
You can.
Ooh, she said yes. All right. So there's a formula I came across from a guy called I think think it's Mike McCullough, and he has a system called Profit First. So
Yes,
you create. Are you aware of it? Are you familiar
I
with it?
am.
You are. Ooh. So can you do accounts for a system like that?
Yes,
Oh, you're good
yes.
then.
I mean, when you actually get into it, it's probably pretty straightforward. I think people just get intimidated because it's numbers.
I
And
asked an
I see that.
accountant that recently, and she said, I'm not too sure about that. I'm not too sure about that. And yeah, well, that's pretty cool. I'll definitely be checking you out. Sounds like fun. Ooh,
Yeah,
that's great.
yeah, I
Well,
like what to say.
that's wonderful. All right, my friend. Well, let's switch gears for a moment now. Let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Caroline, what
Sounds.
is your earliest childhood memory?
Oh, I think it's probably hanging out in the living room dancing with my mum.
How old do you think you were?
Probably about 5 or 6.
Why do you think this memory is so clear?
I think it's the relationship or the connection with my mum and just having fun with her. I think just really relaxed. I think that's why it's really stuck in my mind.
How do you see that memory connecting to who you are today?
Yeah, I think in some ways it doesn't. I think I don't have as much fun as I should anymore. I think, as you get older, you get so caught up with life that you forget to have fun. So I probably need to connect more with that person back then who enjoyed dancing and being silly in the living room.
Can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind with that
Yep,
memory?
yep.
Oh, I love how you spoke about you being an introvert and being the person who goes to the parties. Ah, it's a bit overwhelming. But you said that when I said, how was it for you being on this podcast? You said, well, I don't have any problems really with the one to one conversations. And I'm fascinated by the fact that I think it's your strength in being that person who dives deep with individuals in conversations. And it's enough. Like dancing in that space with your mother. And I'm guessing dancing, be it in conversations with others, it's enough. And it's beautiful to see you hold that space from that child.
I
And
think,
it's great that you can do that in the future.
yes, no, that is a really good interpretation.
Thank you. If we fast forward to when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
I don't actually remember having a favourite song when I was 12. I, I
It's,
think, I really started to get into music when Split Ends, who are an Australian New Zealand band, started, but they were probably just a little bit, probably 13 or 14, and they had
okay.
some great music.
We could take that. It's cool. You're not the first. I'm sure you won't be the last. All right,
No.
my friend. Well, we've arrived at our destination. But before we get off of this time machine, there is a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to move a bit quicker here. Are you ready?
I am.
Caroline, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
No.
Are you married?
Nope, I'm not.
Do you have children?
Not unless you count 2 dogs.
I think they count. Telling you, I think they count. Do you believe in God?
Probably not. I'd like to, but I don't, I think.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
I do. I have a very small group of very close friends.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
I probably have the TV on, but I probably don't actually watch it for that long.
All right. And what about screen time, the phone and the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Probably way more than 8, given my work as an accountant.
If you had to share with us, Caroline, your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, what would you say that is?
That I'm an introverted number geek who loves dogs.
Love it. Well, this was such a great pleasure, my friend. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
I don't think so. I think my big takeaway from the past, however many years, is that thing about honouring yourself and being authentic to who you are. So I think if anyone's trying to do that, then they're definitely on the right path.
Love it. Well, wasn't this a gentle conversation? I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. What type of music, if you do remember, were you dancing to with your mother?
I think it's probably 60s music. She was really into like, Yellow Polka Dot Bikini and all of those songs. So she often had those on when we were growing up.
That's great. And this is probably possibly what, the 45s?
Yes, it would have been.
That's wonderful. Well, again, Caroline, this was a great pleasure. Thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
This segment has been brought to you by Amazel Enterprise.